This is the evolution of Call of Duty through time, and this is going to be the evolution of Call of Duty through my eyes and how it went for me. We start over on Call of Duty 3, the very first Call of Duty that I ever laid my hands on. However, as a young man back in 2006, I wasn't allowed Xbox Live. It wasn't really a thing that my mum and dad could get their hands around. I was stuck on campaign. As for a lot of games, Xbox Live was brand new. It was new to everybody, and parents, quite frankly, for a lot of young people, did not like the idea of their kids speaking to people on the internet. It kind of makes sense. This is back when we didn't have Nicki Minaj running around. It was just pure Call of Duty, and it started the franchise off with a bang. Even though it wasn't the greatest game back in 2006, it was pretty cool and something that a lot of people did enjoy. Even though Call of Duty 3 was really cool to play back in 2006, I still wouldn't say it was an iconic Call of Duty title, because the next game we're going to talk about is Call of Duty 4, and this is the OGs, the game that started the Call of Duty franchise. We started to see new parts of Call of Duty born, like kill streaks, creator class, perk, XP progression, prestige modes. Definitely didn't Google that one. And this is where it really started for me, where I started to start my love for Call of Duty. I started to see people like Grizz go around making montages, starting to snipe, quick scoping, no scoping. And looking back, it was so simple. I started to look at this. I remember watching montages, and I remember trying to jump on Call of Duty 4 and do it myself. Thankfully, by 2007, my mum and dad finally gave in and let me get Xbox Live so I could go online and try this myself. I remember hitting a quick scope and thinking, yes, hitting a no scope, even no matter if the guy was right in front of me, and just jumping around my bedroom screaming. And in my opinion, has one of the best camos in all of Call of Duty, Blue Tiger. An actually underrated game at the time that I don't think, if I remember back, got as much love as it should have back then. It was a great Call of Duty, however, I was still stuck on COD 4. Call of Duty 4 was so good that I didn't properly give this a go. The snipers didn't feel the same. The sniping felt different to COD 4, even though the sniping was great. We move over to Call of Duty World at War, playing with my friends, coming in from school, playing it for a while, but most importantly and mainly, we would jump back on Call of Duty 4. That being said, one of the best things I would say come out of World at War was the campaign. Trying to complete the campaign on veteran mode was outrageously difficult, and me and my friends would actually spend most of our time taking it in turns to go into different people's houses and end up playing the campaign. I still remember that last mission, if you guys remember it as well, putting that flag onto that pole, I guess. Is it a pole? What would you call that? Hang on. Do flags go into on buildings? Oh, okay, it's a flagpole. Okay, now we start the Call of Duty that walked so everyone else could run. We start into Modern Warfare 2, and this is where, for me and for a lot of you guys and girls watching, everything changed. FaZe Clan. That is the big one for me. People started to trick shot. These clans, Dare, Saw, started to come out of the woodwork. And all of a sudden, my love for Call of Duty got bigger and bigger and bigger, because I wanted to be in FaZe and be one of these guys. Just like you want to be a footballer, you see your favourite football team going around, or soccer if you're American. And I would spend my entire time trick shotting, using the intervention, trying to do anything I could to get better at the game. With little success, but it was still great. My mum and dad bought me a laptop so I could start recording on a Roxio game capture, if anybody remembers that. It was 480p, it was basically a HD potato. You could get something better like a Hauppauge PVR or HD PVR if you remember that, but they were so much money and I had no money. Getting them to buy me a £50 recording device was hard enough, let alone a £200 one. I remember rushing home from school to see new montages made by the FaZe guys. I remember running through the door hoping they've uploaded them, because I'm in the UK, 9 times out of 10 they weren't up yet because of the time zones. And don't even get me started on the phase 1 miltage or ill cams. If I still hear that noise to the start of the 1 mil team charge, I will freak out. But people mainly just remember multiplayer for MW2, but it's so much more than that. If anyone remember the campaign, having that fight off with Shepard, the moment that we all hate, that involved Ghost, and if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, and if you haven't played it, spoiler alert, but if you have played it, you know exactly what I mean. You also had Spec Ops, which was a random mode that came out of nowhere, but actually was so much fun. Trying to get 3 stars, complete it without being seen, ghost missions, stealth missions, chaos missions. It all in all was just one of the best games that I've ever played in my life, and I know everybody at home will probably agree with me on that. I can look back and I was around during the Modern Warfare 2 era, and that makes me happy. Now, for the next game you join me is Call of Duty Black Ops, and I've always said this was an underrated game that I don't think got as much love as it should have back in the day. Now, I'm not to say people didn't play it, because people did, but MW2 was so good that it was very hard to get me off that game, and I can't speak for everybody. I'm going to list off some things and why this was so game-changing for Call of Duty. We had combat training. You could play against bots for the first time, which was crazy. You could also make them have names of your friends, so you could go around killing your friends. Bad sentence, I understand, as I said it out loud. You could play one in the chamber, gun game, sharpshooter, sticks and stones. That takes me back so much. And it was also the first game that you actually would unlock guns by getting COD points to buy weapons, attachments and perks. You didn't actually need to level up. As long as you had enough points, COD points, you could actually buy any gun that you need. And that way you didn't have to unlock guns you had no intention of playing. You wanted to be a sniper? Get your COD points, unlock the sniper first. You had theater mode. You did a crazy moment. You could then go back and watch it. On top of that, you could also go back and watch other people's stuff, which I've done a lot of times, and that was great for trick shotting, just in case you missed and your Roxio or your PVR or your Elgato, if you had lots of money, didn't work. Zombies was introduced for the first time as well. The good old Kino de Totten, definitely butchered that, sorry about that, was introduced. There was other maps down the line. However, this map is the most iconic and most nostalgic, and created an entire new audience to the Call of Duty franchise that wanted to maybe not, they didn't care too much about the other stuff, but could jump on zombies with their friends and just have a blast trying to get to the max round, or as high of a round as you can. And before I move over to the next game, I actually, looking back at all these stats, I didn't realise how influential and how important Black Ops was to Call of Duty. There is endless stuff on this. Wow. We need to put some more respect into Call of Duty Black Ops, because I was not aware on how many new things they introduced to the Call of Duty franchise. Modern Warfare 3, the first one, as I remember. 2011 is always around Christmas time, and this time it was Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Games making this one. Now, Modern Warfare 3 had a really tough shoes to fill, because it was being compared to MW2. And we all know MW2 was so good, nothing was beating it. And I think that was part of the problem with MW3, is I initially started playing it and went, well, this isn't MW2, and instantly had a different picture in my head. However, there was also so many incredible parts of MW3 that I feel that we could all look back and we all remember. Sniping clips in MW3 was so good. It was fluid. It had Infinity Warfare's engine. It actually had a better engine than MW2. You still got the Modern Warfare campaign with Captain Price, Soap, hunting Makarov. You still had the core aspect, so you could still enjoy your campaign and continue on from the last game. That made no odds. As like any Call of Duty, multiplayer started to get a bit more advanced. You started getting new packages, new weapons, new game modes, different prestiges, and it was all done in a different cool way. Like, for the first time, you didn't have to get kills to get leveled up. You could get point systems to get different various kill streaks. Me as a trick shotter / sniper, I look back at this a little differently. I once again didn't spend as much time on this. Yes, I can list all the amazing new things it had and how good it was for sniping. You still had theater mode, which was brand new to Modern Warfare. However, the previous year, Black Ops already had it. And as I'm seeing here, it had dedicated servers, but none of that meant anything to me. I just wanted to trick shot, and it wasn't MW2. And so what I found a lot of the time with a lot of other people, we would play these games during release, and we would go back, and I would go straight back to MW2, which is weird, because you think Black Ops would have been the one to go back to, but no. We now move on to, if you know me, we know what we're about to move on to next, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Honest to God, this was the point in my Call of Duty career, in my Call of Duty love. It's where it blossomed. In fact, it's the only reason you're hearing my voice right now. It blew the world open for me. Took trick shot into a new level. I found a way that I could trick shot, and I could actually, it just made sense to me. I can't explain why, it just happened. And it happened for a lot of other people, and the Call of Duty community just blew up as everyone else blew up. Phase recruitment challenges. You had people trick shotting, sniping was great, the snipers were good, the campaign was good. You had zombies that people could run around in there. People even trick shotted on zombies and started doing cool things with that. You then on top of that had the pro scene came onto the market. And I remember I had no care in the world for the pro scene, because it wasn't sniping or trick shotting to me. But I even remember sitting there watching OGs like Scump and Nadeshot all go head to head, and then started watching FaZe play. FaZe got a team. We ended up getting to a point where Call Call of Duty Black Ops 2, everything just seemed to happen. Big names started to come through, even bigger than we've ever seen before. People just started to blow up. Road to a kill cam with Apex. 6 people from the biggest Call of Duty team in the world running around trick shotting. You had FaZe Rain making cut comms. The birth of people like FaZe Rug, who I know now is probably the biggest FaZe member. One of the biggest YouTubers in the world, if I'm being honest. All of these people came from Call of Duty. Zombie YouTubers blew up even more, like people like Syndicate. And let's not forget, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is set in 2025. We are currently in 2025. Back then it felt like it was so far away. But instead, we are now living in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 era in 2025. We are coming up on the time it was released. I was 17 years old when this game came out. When I joined FaZe at 18. I am now 30. It actually is quite sad and nostalgic at the same time looking back at this game, because there's so many people that we used to love and enjoy watching that are no longer around. You had different communities. You had trick shotting and sniping. You had casual players. You had competitive. You have hardcore sweats that just loved playing. You had people that liked to troll. You had glitchers. You had zombie fans, campaign fans, and you just all in all had good FPS fans that just wanted to try the game. Now we kind of take a little bit of a dip, a very controversial dip, over to a game called Call of Duty Ghosts. I don't know where to start with this, because this game really felt like a step back to me. I was not a fan of this game. Now, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I just could not get my head around it, and it felt rushed, if I was being honest. However, I will also show some respect, because there was a lot of people that did love this game. And look, once again, I'm looking at this from my eyes. To me, we had Black Ops 2 that had everything. We then went to Call of Duty Ghosts that had some things. We did get dogs. That was something. It was the first time we didn't have a Modern Warfare or a Black Ops title. And I think that could have been the problem. We were introduced to something new, and I don't think anybody knew, quite frankly, how that was going to go. Like I said, you had a playable dog. That was new, quite controversial, because you could actually, if you wanted to, shoot the dogs. And that did, for a lot of people, did tickle a few feathers. However, even though the multiplayer was a bit boring, a bit dry in my opinion, I didn't think sniping looked as good, trick shotting didn't look as good, and overall, I just didn't really get to grips with the guns. The guns didn't quite feel like guns to me. I will say this, it does have one of the coolest campaign missions I have ever played. You spend your time in space. It was the first time that I actually remember playing a mission thinking, whoa, okay, this is pretty cool. No matter how I felt about the game. And I actually have re-downloaded Call of Duty Ghosts just to play that mission again, because I had a nostalgic moment one night. Continuing on, Advanced Warfare. I don't know how I feel about Advanced Warfare. Jetpacks were introduced for the first time. We started to see a brand new movement system. You started to bring out shields. You had invisibility cloaks. It got, for the first time, a real futuristic game. And I don't think Call of Duty fans at first knew how to take it. Weirdly, I was actually quite good at the game. It was one of those games that everything was ranked against me. I didn't expect I could do well, but I actually managed to do well as a trick shotter. Sniping was okay, and it got to the point where I started at one point thinking, okay, yeah, we can play this. Now, this game was set in 2054, so unlike Black Ops 2, we've got another 20 odd years until we need to start worrying that we're in 2054. I think I'll deal with that when we're there. And actually, as I remember it now, I remember Kevin Spacey was in the game. You had new game modes on multiplayer. A game actually that I give a shout out to Momentum. Looking back, and it was like American football and basketball put together. It was a weird game mode to incorporate into Call of Duty, but I also don't mind Call of Duty developers trying new things. Otherwise, we'll be stuck doing the same thing over and over again. So I can't fault for trying stuff. However, the game modes didn't catch on as much as Search and Destroy, Team Deathmatch, etc. because they're the main games that people want to play. Once again, we had no zombies. We had something called Exo Survival, similar to Extinction in a way, but you fight off waves of enemies, solo or co-op. The game then slowly became a bit pay to win. You would pay money to open loot boxes to get certain guns. And this was a problem for multiple reasons, because all of a sudden, everyone else's guns were better than yours if they've spent loads of money and got a box. If I remember correctly, and a lot of you OG AW fans can back me up in the comments, there was one sniper, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it, but it was so much superior to all the other snipers. And if you had it, you were out-sniping everybody. It just had better fire time. It was insane. And the only way you could get this gun is by opening loot crates, which personally I don't agree with. And that is why I think Advanced Warfare got absolutely slated because it was the first time you couldn't work hard to get the gun you deserve. You had to pay for it. We now finally get another Black Ops game, which I was dead excited about. After Black Ops 2, I was so excited for Black Ops 3. I thought we're going to get another game just like Black Ops 2, and it's going to be incredible. And then we got Black Ops 3. No, I'm not going to slate Black Ops 3 because I did actually enjoy the game, but we started to get a slight jetpack again. I would say advanced movement. In the trailer, it sounded so good that you could wall run, you could jetpack again, and I started to think, wow, this would be incredible for trick shotting. But actually, it was quite good. But once again, it did make the movement a little bit more advanced, and everybody was flying around the map at 100 miles an hour, and it made it a different level of Call of Duty. Once again, it did kind of divide the Call of Duty community. 50% was happy to get some new stuff, and people wanted these new futuristic games, and 50% of the OGs, the old boys, the old girls, wanted the OG Call of Duty boots on the ground. That was the big thing where everybody called it. Boots on the ground, boots on the ground. And as you'll find later on, we got that and people weren't still happy, but we'll get through to that. But I think Black Ops 3, despite having a good multiplayer and a good campaign, we had, in my opinion, the best thing for Black Ops 3 was the new zombies. Zombies really took up in this, and actually went, if anything, it was the Easter eggs in the zombies that captivated a lot of people. It became more complex, and it was more of a story than just running around opening doors. And for the first time, you could level up in zombies. you could level up your character and get new gear. But once again, like everything, we played for a while, we had some cool new things, made some cool videos, and quite ultimately, we just kept going back to the older Call of Duties because that's what we wanted. We now move over to Infinite Warfare. I don't know where to start on this game. Infinite Warfare is just... okay, I'm going to be honest, awful. I don't think it should even be called a Call of Duty game. Honestly, I don't even want to... no, I think this was a bad time for Call of Duty because we then had World War II. Now, snipers enjoyed this. People enjoyed sniping. Trick shots at this point were just giving up in terms of they weren't even bothering to try and trick shot on this map. It didn't feel very good. It didn't feel great. And we just kind of were like, okay, cool. But we went back. But we did, for the first time, a positive we can take, for the first time, World War II did bring the series back to its roots. After years of futuristic shooters, we finally got boots on the ground. And even if people didn't enjoy the game as much as they hoped, we did finally get back to where we wanted to be. And this was important. The campaign, for the most part, was pretty good. There wasn't much more. It resonated with a lot of the players because it was quite emotional. During the World War II era, it was emotional and it did resonate with a lot of players. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember much of the zombie mode. I actually don't have anything to say on that because I don't fully remember it, which is bad for an evolution of Call of Duty. But once again, this is coming from me. This is my eyes. This is not me saying what everyone else says. This is what I think. Obviously, I have Googled a lot of the facts. I can't remember everything on the game. BO4. Where do I start on BO4? I think Black Ops 4 was the same again. Black Ops 4 with me was I was thinking, right, maybe now we got boots on the ground, it's going to be like Black Ops 2. And just once again, it wasn't. And I don't think that's because Black Ops 4 was a terrible game. I think it's just because we were stuck. We were stuck in the OG. And I'm still thinking, well, it's been 6 years since Black Ops 2. It's going to be better this year. And we just hoped every single year it was. Now, don't get me wrong. We did have some new things to trick shot. We did have other things like grapples, which people use to hit trick shots that you wouldn't be able to before. And this was a bit different because you didn't have a jetpack. So it felt different, even though you were still technically flying around the map. But a lot of people forget. The biggest thing that even I forgot, and I'm just seeing it here on the facts, is that there was no campaign. For the first time, we just have multiplayer and zombies. And I was upset about this because I love a Call of Duty campaign. And I think a lot of other people were as well. I wanted to carry on. You get quite attached to the different campaigns. The Infinity Warfare, Modern Warfare era, and the Treyarch Black Ops. I was invested. I'm playing every Call of Duty campaign in my spare time. And for the first time, we didn't have that. And that upset me. But I think Black Ops 4, despite, once again, not hitting the mark for your competitive side and your trick shot and sniping side, for casuals, I'm sure it did hit the mark for a lot of people. Some people just loved getting on and playing a new Call of Duty. But what I think was biggest for Black Ops 4 is it started a brand new era and genre for Call of Duty. And that is, as I'm talking, is the Battle Royale mode that came alongside Black Ops 4. We were introduced to a game called Blackout. Now that, in my opinion, was huge. For the first time, 100 players could get together in a massive map and have it out. And this was new. And I think I played Blackout more than Black Ops 4. I spent most of my time on the Battle Royale than the actual multiplayer. And that is when I think my love for Call of Duty changed. I started to realise, because I couldn't get it to be how I wanted it to be previously, I then moved to a different genre. This is where it gets really interesting in the Call of Duty life cycle. We now move over to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and of course Warzone that came with it. For the first time, after a long time, this was probably the 2019-2020, my second favourite time on Call of Duty. The first favourite was the MW2 Black Ops 2 era. That for me was still number one in my head, but all of a sudden, it took 8 years, but I got up to a point where I was so invested in Call of Duty again, and I don't even know where to start. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the campaign. What I, for the longest time, could not work out if I was playing a game or watching a movie. I had to look down at my controller to see what was going on. It was the first time where I was so impressed with a campaign that I just replayed it straight after. Like, you're breaching a house, like with the SAS. Like, it feels like I'm actually there. It was so real, and I had enjoyed every single second of the campaign. I was invested. I loved it. I had the multiplayer. Now, the trick shotting wasn't great, I'll admit, but the casual and sniping was so much fun. I just found myself getting 6 of my mates, and we were just playing Search and Destroy sniping, just like we did on MW2. For the first time in 8 years, I've done that. It was so much fun. Then, on top of that, once I've done that throughout 2019, 2020, we were introduced to Call of Duty Warzone, and this is where Call of Duty got, in my opinion, it doubled in size. We got introduced to Battle Royale. Fortnite was going, we had Blackout before, but we then got Verdansk, and I think I can speak for everybody. During COVID, this was all I did. I was glued to the screen playing Warzone with my friends, and then when they weren't on, because it was 5 in the morning, because we'd been playing for 12 hours, I then was playing solos, having a blast. I was streaming. I started my streaming career. I then started making Warzone videos, and everything, for the first time, I felt like I actually had something I could get excited about again, after having so many games before that didn't hit the mark for me. And Warzone, I think, speaks for itself. It was the best time in a long time, if that makes any sense. Then we move over to Call of Duty Cold War. At the time, wasn't interested. Warzone came out. I was playing Modern Warfare and Warzone. I was invested. And I feel sorry for Black Ops Cold War, because it actually was a bit understated. It fell below Warzone, in my opinion. I don't think it even fell below Modern Warfare, because Modern Warfare was so good and Warzone was so good. Yeah, Cold War was just like, yeah. I actually went back and played it recently, and it was really quite fun. I feel bad for Black Ops Cold War. I think if it came out again, I think it would have done better. But the previous games were too big that I think it just lost its way. I didn't really spend much time. In fact, I can tell you how little time I spent on Cold War. I didn't even prestige. I did not even get to the first prestige level. By this point, I've slowed down trick showing, and I wanted to shift my content towards Warzone, and I was kind of focused on streaming Warzone. It was new and big and bright and beautiful, and that's what I wanted to do. And I feel like I've been doing it for the past 5 years, if anyone's wondered. But once again, the main thing I did play was the Cold War campaign. The Cold War campaign was a bit of fun. I think most people played that, but multiplayer, I don't think people really kicked off. We then had War and Vanguard. Once again, like Infinite Warfare, I can't tell you anything about this game. I honestly could not tell you anything. It has since been disbanded. I'm pretty sure you cannot now play online. I don't have anything to say other than I remember buying it, playing it, and that's all I remember. And even after saying that, I don't have anything to say about it. I couldn't tell you anything about this game. It was just erased from my memory. Does anyone know anything about it? Because I don't want to have to Google for all the facts. In fact, let's see what Google says about it. Now, these facts are from Google, because I don't remember. I don't remember the campaign. I just follow an elite special forces team, Task Force 1. It's World War II combat. You have gunsmith and champion. You had a zombies mode. Not a clue. I think this was the problem with Vanguard. No, I don't think anybody can say anything about this game. I don't remember it. What? Was I asleep for a year? Moving on to games that I do remember, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023. Now, I'm going to put these games together because I get them confused. I will look at gameplay of Modern Warfare 3 2023, of course, when I'm saying this, and Modern Warfare 2, and I can't tell the difference. I got confused by these two. However, I did kind of like them. Once again, I'm going to start by talking about their campaigns. The campaigns were so good. They were so good. It felt like you were playing a movie once again, and I just feel like the Call of Duty campaigns, and I can't wait for Black Ops 7's coming out campaign, because quite frankly, it is going to be insanity. They are so much like a movie that I just get myself immersed. I sit down, put my headset on, I shut my door, no one's distracting me, and I'm in. And I am invested in these Call of Duties. And the main one with MW2 for me is, once again, I didn't play too much multiplayer, but I did play Warzone 2022. So I think that's what I'll talk about for this, because that's where I was. DMZ came out. We did get a new map. Now the downside is a new map on Warzone 2, which also I call as MW2, they missed the mark. They tried to revamp Warzone, they tried to revamp all the movement, and personally it failed miserably. Now I think the maps were good, but I don't think Warzone 2 worked. And I think Modern Warfare 2 for me didn't really have that same feel on multiplayer because they moved everything around. That being said, DMZ and new features that came into the game, some of the features like DMZ that did come in were good, but the mechanics did not work for the most part, other than sprint to fire. We had a few enhanced movements, and you could lean for the first time. However, you did walk like you needed to go to the toilet. It was tough. And I could say the same for MW3 without wasting any more of your time. Incredible campaign, multiplayer, cool guns, new movement, but I was on Warzone. I wasn't playing much of multiplayer. If anything, I was playing multiplayer while I was waiting for the new Warzone. And then you still had an excessive build on DMZ and some other cool maps that came around. But for the whole, good game, but I was on Warzone. And lastly, the last playable Call of Duty, the most recent Call of Duty, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 6. The one that most of you guys are playing now. And do you know what the biggest thing for Black Ops 6 for me is? I think it's been the content creation and how casual players have actually came back a bit. Now, no one trick shots really on this game. That's kind of died out a little bit, and it's not as big as it was. We all know this, unfortunately. It's sad. People still go back to the old CODs if they want to trick shot, mainly. But sniping, which has been really good, and it's challenging, but rewarding at the same time. And a lot of people have proved that it's very, very possible to do so. But I think the pro scene has come back. The pro scene for the first time, I feel, for me, I'm starting to see a lot more of it, and it's actually really enjoyable to watch. Now, we do have a big issue, and we've had this for years. I haven't touched on, but I feel like I want to talk about it now, is the hackers. Multiplayer ranked play is full of hackers. Warzone is full of hackers. It has kind of ruined and tainted the game a little bit. But it's nice to see that pro players are coming back. They're starting to play more, and it's starting to get a bit competitive again with a side of casual that most people will probably watching would enjoy. Now, I know I say this to every single one, but campaign once again was great. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it was fantastic. I really enjoy the campaigns. Maybe that's just my age. Maybe it's because I'm absolutely exhausted from getting destroyed all day on multiplayer or Warzone. That I end my evening with a glass of whiskey and a campaign. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I do really think that the graphics, the feel, you can do so much more. It doesn't feel like you just have to walk forward. There's so many different options, so many different missions with different varieties. A little bit too zombie-like, but on the whole, good campaign. We still have zombies. People still love playing that. I don't feel it's as big as it was before. I think multiplayer and Warzone's taken over, but I do like the fact that you can still play zombies for the core OGs that still want to jump on. But once again, I don't play much of Black Ops 6. I play Warzone. I just jump on Warzone. I'm now currently Verdansk is back, and that's where I am. Like I said to you guys throughout this whole video, this is not an evolution of Cool Teach telling everything. This is just how I have interpreted it throughout my almost 20 years of playing Call of Duty. And it's been a blast. We've had our ups and downs. We've got Black Ops 7 round the corner, which I'm excited for. We've had our ups and downs when it comes to Call of Duty, but on the whole, I will always love this franchise. I will moan about it every day. But the biggest problem I have with Black Ops 6 is this. All of this. I don't know why I'm running around the map playing as Beavis and Butthead. The microtransaction era is in full effect, and it is, in my opinion, making it very hard to love this game. I love this game so much, but the store on Call of Duty right now is outrageous. I don't know how we've got to this, and I know they're making a lot of money, but I think I can speak on most of the Call of Duty community when we say, please tone it down a bit. We don't mind you making money. We understand you need to make money to be able to make all these games because they're not cheap, but please tone it down a bit. Give us a bit of Call of Duty back, because right now Battlefield's around the corner, and I think Battlefield is going to attract a lot of people. So I'm excited for Black Ops 7 that is next. I'm excited to see what it can bring, but I say it every year, it's the Call of Duty cycle, so I'm going to try and not say too much and hope and pray that we get a good, nostalgic OG game that can fit for every single Call of Duty fan. I don't want it just to be for trick shots and snipers. I don't want it just to be for zombie players, not just for multiplayer casuals, not just for campaigns. I want it to be for everybody, so this franchise can do better and better and get back to the nostalgic feel that we love when the new Call of Duty comes out, because we haven't had that, in my opinion, since 2020. Maybe we'll never get that again. Who knows? Thank you for watching. Please do drop a like. This video has taken ages, so please, please, please do show it some love, and I look forward to uploading some more videos for you guys very soon. Take care. Peace out.